Agnana Timirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Good morning to all present in this meeting. This meeting is intended to highlight what are the options available for the students after 10th standard, and also give a glimpse of what NIOS as an alternate approach to PU can offer in fulfilling these dreams and aspirations of the students. We from Dhanadhara have developed a program which will integrate the NIOS with the competitive examination training. We are presently running this program in some places. To name, we have it in an organization called Purna Prabhati, which is a school run in Girinagar. This organization is meant for an all-round, say, education rather than only focusing just on academics. It looks into Samskriti, Samaja, Shastra, Parampare, along with an excellent training in academics. So we have divided this into two parts. In the first part, we will look at what are the opportunities available for the students after 10th standard. This will be delivered by Dr. Srivatsa. Srivatsa, in fact, has a very interesting background. He's an engineer by training, and later on, he went on to do his PhD in physics in Raman Research Institute. He's one of the premier institutions of India, started by Professor C.V. Raman, and which dedicates for research. Sir has exclusively done research in theoretical physics, and later on went on to become professor in PES College and Atria Institution. Apart from that, he started an organization called Brain Stars, where the training starts from 6th standard onwards up to 12th standard. And to his credit, he also has guided students for PhD in Purna Pragya Research Institution. So here is a man with a very wide experience of teaching students from as low as 6th. Whenever I say that, he says he started from 3rd itself, up to guiding students for PhD. Now, we find that he is the right person to tell the students what are the options available after 10th. Over to you, Dr. Srivatsa, for the presentation.
Thank you, Raghavendra. Thanks for the kind introduction. So let me share the screen. Hope the screen is visible to all.
It's visible.
Yeah. Okay. So without much ado, let's get started. So welcome again to this session on for the students who are in a kind of a dilemma of what after 10th standard. And this is where Dhanadhara will try to provide a kind of a balanced view of what is feasible and what kind of things are there. So with that brief note, let me get started. So typically for standard 10 student, countdown has begun. So it's like the time to exam has come in, the time for thinking for themselves has come in. And so here is the 10th standard. So how and what should we do soon after this boards of 10th? So what is the steps to be taken is the big question for the student now, and that's what we want to address, how and what. So today's speakers for the program, as already Raghavendra sir has mentioned, so we have Team Dhanadhara represented by the founder director of Dhanadhara, who is having a PhD in physics, and his interestingly, we have the privilege of his PhD guide also with us today, with a large number of years of experience in being a principal of a PU college and orientation and coaching for the 11th and 12th standard for competitive exams, and also Diksha PU college principal. And also he has been instrumental in setting up the undergraduate lab for the bachelor's in science course at IISc. Anyone would know how prestigious it has been, and it always comes up in the list of the best institutes across the globe. And he's also been a resource person for the physics Olympiad, the international physics Olympiad that happens, and the kids who represent India. He has also mentored them. So with that intro, this is myself, already been introduced. So I'll skip this slide. So what is the scope for today? And we want to see that we are not completely overwhelmed with all the possibilities, but we try to say what we are good at and what we are going to particularly focus for the day's presentation. So in terms of our idea of the opportunities in for STEM and for the standard 10 students, in terms of STEM, it is the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And now, if we say there are opportunities in STEM, that is one way of looking at the external world and the world outside. What is it that is offering us? Now, among the things that are offered to us, I'm always choosy. I always need to choose something out of it that suits my temperament, my interest, and all that. So that is where we came up with this interesting acronym. My choice must be based on the ability that I have identified in myself in the last 10 years of schooling, and the interest that I have developed over the same number of years. And presently, what is the motivation that I have? So if we were to look at it as an acronym, it is the aim. What is my aim? What is my ability, my interest, and motivation to pursue the next step after standard 10? So this is what I will spend some time on, the whole thing of what is your aim and how we can identify that as one aspect. And in terms of what is offered to you externally to match your aim is the one that I will focus on. So again, are you charged up? Because you have come to 10th standard, you're all excited to finish off boards and get to the next level. So here we have are we ready for this? And what does ability mean? We always wanted to understand our ability, and in a way, is there a way to conduct a certain psychometric test that can enable us to measure that? And such a psychometric test has been designed, a multiple intelligence based test. And in terms of our attitude, which is our self-awareness, what kind of a personality am I, and how do we look into it? So that's a self-awareness quiz, which is another psychometric test. And the aptitude for the sciences, because we said our scope will be for STEM subjects. So we have designed an aptitude test that will be conducted in the eventual time after the kids register for the program and show interest. So knowing the aim, we need to know what is our ability, attitude, and aptitude, and kind of match the aim with the 3 A's here. So this is where the external, internal kind of conflicts that may be there will be kind of brought in sync with each other, so that we are doing our best and we'll put our best foot forward, as we say. So I want to quickly take you all through the journey so far. It's like in my view, or in my words and my understanding, what you have done so far in terms of learning and what approach you have taken. Typically in school, as we say, schooling, you have gone through the primary school by playway approach, and you have done a lot of activities in the middle school trying to understand the concepts that were introduced for the first time and get a better understanding and grounding of those concepts in your mind. And then we switched in the high school to a lecture-based program. So a lot of lectures you've heard, and you have been listening to them, and teachers have taught you, revised in the last few months, and you're all set for the final boards in the next month. So here is the kind of quick summary of all that has happened in the last 10 years. Now, what will it be in the next 10 years if you were to look at it from the pre-university, undergraduate and postgraduate? So that's close to 2 plus 4 plus 2, or rather a decade of study and learning. So this is where, which is next is what. And in fact, I've chosen a little grammatically incorrect kind of a statement. But if you notice carefully, there is a trademark in that. That means some company actually choose this phrase and actually have copyrighted this, and therefore they have put in the trademark. That means it's registered under a company's name. And I leave it to you to discover which company may have actually taken this step of copywriting this phrase. And continuing, the exploratory projects will be the next step. Industry-based projects are the next, and research projects. So if you notice that in the previous slide, I mentioned a lot about play, activity, and lectures, but now it has been all in different language, the projects. That means while lectures will continue, there will be a lot more of, as you see here, the self-learning. So when you do something, you learn the best. Hence, a lot of schools, colleges have adapted a method of project-based learning. And it's quickly written as PBL, which is project-based learning. So through projects, you learn a lot of concepts, a lot of subject relevant topics. And I have shown you in some context, an electronics-based project or an industry, which could involve manufacturing or medical, and the research, which gets into a very detailed study of that. And the quick summary of this slide is going to be that it is a self-learning is going to be stressed largely, compared to the teacher going to be doing all the learning for you or showing the path. Here you discover the path yourself. The teacher, the mentor, the facilitator will be hand-holding you in this process of learning. So what is the way forward from the last two slides? We are getting to complete the school and you're going to step into a college, into something. So where are your opportunities? What is the way forward? For that, let's go into, it's like, let's fix the goal and say we are going to get into a job after education. And I have chosen some study course of study program. And that leads me into one of these different job opportunities. They could be in any industry, such as manufacturing, pharmaceutical, construction, telecom, IT and IT-enabled services. So all these are things that you're already very well familiar with, either in terms of, if you say manufacturing, one of your relatives, family has been in the manufacturing. Pharmaceutical, I think you all recently in the last 2 years, 3 years in the pandemic, you must have observed that the country, which is India, has served the entire globe with its pharmaceutical production of capsules or drugs and other things. So we are one among the top 5 nations to supply the medicines to the world. Construction, we have infrastructure projects. Every industrial progress that we talk about leads to public infrastructure building. And so there's a whole lot of industry by itself there. And we have telecom. And thanks to this, your learning has never stopped in the last 2 to 3 years of pandemic. Sitting at home, we were able to reach to, teachers were able to reach out on all of you. And we were able to continue the learning and never stop that. And IT and IT-enabled services have enabled us to do these kind of webinars, seminars, classes, and has not been any challenge for us. So that is the type of industries. And Further, we have health, care, education, hospitality, tourism, administration as industries. We could choose any one of these after our education. And what does it entail is kind of self-descriptive. So if you are in education, it means that we are the teachers or suppliers of materials, educational materials, or nowadays what is called as edutech, which is all this various means of using technology in education to not stop the learning, and in fact actually increase the learning outcomes for all of us. Hospitality is all about the hotel industry, and tourism is all about travel and what kinds of support that we would give. And I think administration is self-descriptive. So we have these. But the last two slides covered industries that are typical industries. Where is the next decade going? What are those trending industries that we see? The one which is ancient, with the development of civilization or with the development of agriculture, we developed our civilization, is what we say in the history, and the teachers have told us this. But then it is now becoming another trending. A lot of us going back from the various industries and going back to the roots, and getting to see that we grow using technology and improving the yield and serving the globe in terms of its food needs. The law is taking up a lot of precedence over various other topics, because there is a lot of opportunity in terms of intellectual property, how to preserve all the knowledge that is being created in the nation, how do we protect that, and how do we create businesses out of that. And then the next three subjects are very much the hot topics in the world of industry, and that is artificial intelligence, data science, and design thinking. So AI, data science are something that is going to stay for the next decade and change the way we think about everything. In fact, data science and AI is going to kind of penetrate all aspects of our lives. And many examples have already been shown to exist. The doctors can be benefited from AI. The industry of telecom has already benefited from this. And then data science again is independent of any subject. So irrespective of the subject, if I get data, I can immediately be able to analyze it and see what can be done. Similarly, design thinking is an approach for the people who are in the industry, and that is allowing us to innovate and take up some projects that can build empathetically the solutions that help the nation, people, and all that. And of course, mass communication, which is all the media, the houses that we have built. So with all these different industries that are there with us, how do we reach this? How do we end up in one of these industries? And for that, we need to study certain of the courses. And if you observe in the left side, you have a school going kids, which is like any of you wearing a uniform, and you had the same uniform, same teachers, same subjects. But then over this, whatever I have described, over the next decade, you will have become one of the persons on the right. That means any of the different professions that you will go into. So that's how variety has been created by your choice, by your aim, as we said, ability, interest, and motivation. So then if this is the starting point for you and you have to end on the other side, what is the journey that you will go through from now to the next when you become a professional? And you have to choose the path for journey, and we are going to focus on these three aspects. There may be smaller branches of these that may come up, but broadly we have always identified that you could be a professional in the STEM, technology, engineering, with the use of science and mathematics, or pure sciences. That means pursue research and science-based industry that are there, and the humanities. And of course, when we say humanities, it's all about economics, languages, linguistics, and all that. And the social media and other things also might be brought under this humanities. So while we have all these options, we are focusing and providing you with a lot more information about the first of the two, which is pure sciences and professional courses that you can take up, which depend on the sciences and mathematics. So what are the universities to pursue in that sphere of learning? And those spheres are going to be something that needs to be carefully thought of and carefully chosen, because as I want to give you this example as an analogy, this is from taken from the song from a movie, Kannada movie. I think all of you may kind of relate to this. Children may think of it as the a lot more older, but this is something that couldn't be understood even otherwise if you have not heard it. So rekke iddare sake hakkige beku banu bayalali teluta tanu mele haroke. So if I have the wings to fly, I have the aim, I have the goal, I have the ability, but where do I exercise this ability? Where do I use my motivation, if you ask? And in the analogy here, the wings are there to fly for a bird, but do I have the sky, the region to fly? So I need to provide both. I have to provide the wings to the bird, and I also have to provide the space, the sky to fly. Similarly here, you have the aim, you have to have the universities also to express yourself. And that's where this analogy works. And let's move to what are those spaces where we can get the best of the world's education. So I'm sure you've all heard of some of these names: Indian Institute of Technology, the IIT, which are 23 in number and growing. In fact, it might be growing into each state having one IIT. Now, NITs are already available in one in each state. Earlier, they used to be known as Regional Engineering College, but now renamed as National Institute of Technology. They are also coming under the category of institutes of national importance, which means that Government of India has identified each of these to be upgraded to the best of the institutes across the globe. So they are on par with IITs. And the new Indian Institute of Information Technology was also started in just about a decade ago. They're already 23 in number, as many as IITs, and they also provide equally wonderful education in the engineering and science streams. And the last one is a very interesting place in Thiruvananthapuram, Indian Institute of Space Science and Technology. A wonderful aspect of this is that if you are selected to this, your job is like guaranteed in one of the space agency across the globe. But immediate thing is you can serve the nation's one among the best space agency in the world, which is the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. We have to our credit having kind of launched 100 plus satellites in one go. And no such a feat has not been achieved by any of the other countries. So we have some of the first few things as credits, which we are very proud of. So you could be one among those pride outcome of this particular institute. And if that was the set of colleges, universities for engineering, you also have for medicine, similarly, All India Institute of Medical Sciences, AFMC, which is an Armed Forces Medical College, JIPMER, Pondicherry, St. John's Medical College in our own Bangalore, CMC, Vellore. These are all the top medical colleges across the nation. And there may be a few more which are also going to be. And AIIMS is also on the same lines as IITs for engineering, AIIMS is for medicine, and they are 16, they might be increased to 1 in each state scenario eventually. And for the pure sciences, we have the corresponding institutes. First, obviously, is our Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. And we have Indian Institute of Science Education and Research. That is again just a recent start, kind of a startup, one can say, in education, but Government of India initiative, which focuses on science, pure science education for the undergraduate students, and leading to masters and PhD in the same institute. And NICER is along the same lines at Bhubaneswar. And then there are a few more institutes like CBS, Center for Excellence in Basic Sciences, Mumbai, Chennai Mathematical Institute, one of the wonderful institutes for pure mathematical study in Chennai, and ISI, Indian Statistical Institute, one in Calcutta and another in Bangalore. And of course, even IIT and BITS Pilani have a wonderful pure science programs in their campuses. So further, as we said, agriculture is one of the trending industries, and people are showing a lot of interest. They're going back and pursuing agriculture as not just as a hobby, but as a livelihood. The high-tech farmer, you can say, not only just the IT guys are the high-tech guys. Now even the farmers are becoming high-tech by bringing in a lot of technology. And where do they study and get their degrees? So these are the institutes which are run by the government of Karnataka. We are showing you in Karnataka these institutes. Of course, similar institutes exist across the nation. So I don't have to read out for you. You can see the places where we have all the institutes here. Of course, there's one UAS, as we call it, on the new airport road in Bangalore. So if all these institutes are there for us to join, how do I go and join them? So there must be some way to gain entry into this. And all these institutions are going to be the premier institutes, and therefore the lot of people like you are going to be interested in joining. Since there is a lot more students for the interested ones, they would usually conduct an exam which will qualify you to join the particular institute of your choice. And what are those corresponding exams? Typically, before jumping into the type of examination or the various exams that you may want to write, let's quickly understand what are the differences between the two types of examinations and why we want to keep this as a very important part of our presentation today. One of the things is that you're going to immediately write down the board exam. You're well prepared for it. And if you have noticed, your teachers have spent enough time giving you a practice of previous year's question papers. And that is the reason, because there is a predictable format of the question paper. There is a certain number of questions per chapter, the nature of the question and all that. And if you have studied for 10th standard, it's only for 1 year. That 10th standard syllabus is going to appear. If it is 12th standard, only 12th standard subject topics will appear in the examination. And marks will be only not for the end result, but also for the steps that you would have written down to solve a problem, or in terms of the descriptive writing as an answer. And most often board exams are testing whether you have learned the subject, you have the knowledge of the subject, information and understanding partially. While majority of questions are mostly repeated across the years, because it's a simple one book that you have studied, and across the nation or across the state, you have to provide this question paper. So mostly repetitions will be there. And one of the important things is that there's only one single correct answer. And that's a very important thing. This we can mention here because thanks to pandemic and online study, you observe that you also have written certain MCQ based examinations, that is the multiple choice questions, objective questions. So where there is only one single correct answer. Now, with all this idea of what is a board exam which you are going to write soon, with respect to that, how will these qualifying entrance examinations be? There's no single standard format for it. Every college, every university may have their own type. Questions keep changing. And it is also not just 12th standard. It will have a cumulative learning of your 9th to 12th, for example. Some kind of repetition will be there, but you have to remember all of these 4 years of learning. And 0 or 100% of the marks can be given. And there is nothing like in between marks. Like if it is a 4-mark question, you cannot get 1 mark as a in the entrance exam. It will be either 0 or 4. And in some of the examination as elimination, we also bring in negative marking. If you get it wrong, we will penalize it by putting a negative mark for it. And it will test you for application of concepts, problem solving ability, than just knowing the subject, right? So that's where the entrance exams differ vastly from the board examination pattern. And the observing the type of questions, if you analyze, every question paper will have a few new questions, and the pattern will be slightly different, and they keep changing it year after year. And also one more thing that can frustrate a student is that you have to tick all the correct answers that are provided, which means that there are questions which will have more than one answer correct. And you will get full marks only when you have ticked all the correct answers. So that is where the notion of entrance exam is very, very different from the board examination. It's that much more harder, and therefore needs a well thought out study pattern and the study plan that one should build for it. So the typical examinations that you have for IITs and NITs is JEE Advanced and JEE Main. And for engineering colleges in Karnataka, you have the CET, the Karnataka CET, and the COMET K. For the medical entrance, it's all one. I think you're already aware of this, that there's only one NEET examination that you should write for any medical college in India. Similarly, for the pure sciences, you have, again, at IIT, if you wish, you can write JEE, or BITS, there are their own entrance exam. And for the ICERs, there's JEE Advanced, and their own entrance examinations also are conducted. And I want to kind of highlight one more exam that has been put in here in a different color, which is KVPY. KVPY stands for Kishore Vaignanik Protsahan Yojana. It started off as a scholarship examination. If you qualify, you will get a scholarship till the end of your studies. Until you finish your education up to masters, you are going to be provided a scholarship. This was for those students who would want to pursue sciences. And this examination has also now been upgraded in a way, so to say, that it can also provide you as a qualifying exam to join the ICERs and IISc also, Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore. So that's continuing. Individual institutes may conduct a test, or the JEE, which will be there. And for the NICER and the Center for Basic Sciences in Mumbai, the NEST exam also is there, the National Eligibility Screening Test, and that can also be written down. And one can qualify to get into this thing. So there are different streams of scholarship, different levels of opportunity that is provided to all of you, which is at the 11th standard, it is the first time one of these examinations can be taken. So first attempt will be in the 11th standard. Soon after you join a college in the 11th, you can write this examination by November of the year, of that academic year will be typically the examination. This year, it has been all, thanks to pandemic, has been shifted. That is going to come up in the month of April and May, when your seniors would be writing this examination for the first time. Then, of course, if one doesn't qualify in 11th, there is another opportunity in the 12th. Again, in the first year of bachelor's program, when one has joined an undergrad course in any of the sciences programs. So again, there are many different options that children can use to get scholarship, and also choose that as an admission examination, a qualifier. So even if you, let us say, qualify in the 11th standard, then you can be rest assured that you will get a seat for your choice of course without having to write any other entrance examination. So that means you are all set already, thanks to your intelligence and your aim, your ability, your interest or inclination and motivation. So that way, we have these various scholarships that are, these are all provided by the government of India, and so it has naturally gravitated towards very prestigious scholarships to be going after, right? So in summary, we have kind of understood what are the options. The big question that you had, what after 10th, has been partially addressed in terms of the opportunities in STEM, opportunities in the space where you can study, pursue your undergraduate study, and the kind of industry that you can reach out to. And the important thing is the trending industry, the artificial intelligence, the agriculture, the law, the data science, and all of that, and how they kind of change the work scenario for the job opportunities for you all in as you come out of your portals of the university education. Okay, so I hope we have enlightened you with some information, and so that you can go and script your own success story. And to end this particular session, we have spoken about the pursuit of excellence. Where should you pursue your education? And we said that why a particular university is important, because you have a long, very good ability to study, but you need that space also. Now, similarly, there is the next paragraph of what the poet says is like, again, very much a good analogy for you to think about, which is trying to tell you that you already have started the sprint towards the institutions of your choice, but there should be those places for you to grow in that. That means you have to have, like, as in this case, the deer has the legs, but to jump and learn, jump and live its life, it needs the forest. And that's what we are trying to relate to, that you have the right mind, right spirit, and right motivation to go into these institutions, and you should be able to pursue these excellent things and be successful in your life. So with that, I'll stop here, and I'll request Raghavendra sir to continue. Thank you.
Thank you.